story of David and Goliath. This has been a favorite story for many down through the years. Many times it's referred to in impossible situations as David and Goliath. I've often wondered about the valley and how these two armies could be there, and a giant would come out and yell, and everyone over here heard them. And also, they waited 40 days. David didn't come to this battle until they had been sitting there for 40 days. Why didn't they get on with it? Were they actually just waiting for someone to take Goliath's challenge? That wasn't going to happen, at least until David came along. Well, it wasn't until I actually saw it. I actually saw the place, and this valley is more like a V. It kind of comes down with a little what's called a wadi down at the bottom, a little dried up brook, and a kind of a V. So they're on, the army is on this side and on this side. So when they're yelling back and forth, they're really not all that far apart. It's not like a huge valley that goes like this. No, it's a valley like this. And that's why they were waiting for 40 days. Each side is waiting for the other one to attack first. Let's say to be foolish enough to attack first. For you see, if this side attacked, they'd have to go down and then come up, giving this army the advantage, and the same over here. So both sides are simply waiting until the other one attacked. What actually would have happened here, we don't really know. Probably they would have both gone back and rejoined someplace else. But the next thing I want you to see about this story is how God prepared David. Some people say that this was a miracle that God performed. I don't think it was. I think the miracle, if there is any, is just the fact that God worked with David and prepared him to become a great warrior. David here, the only thing about him that is other than his skill is his overconfidence. He knew he could do this. It says that the giant walked towards David, but David ran towards the giant. This confidence had to make the giant stop and look, probably like the lion and the bear. They weren't used to people rushing them. Kind of a moment of hesitation. You see this huge giant trying to intimidate David, walking towards him, and then seeing this young man running towards him after yelling the fact, "I'm going to cut your head off and feed your body to the birds." And this young man rushing him gave Goliath a moment of pause. And then it was the skill and the practice of David of taking that sling and throwing that stone, hitting that giant right in the head, not killing him, but stunning him where he falls down, face first down. See, the sword was held back here, so the warrior would pull the sword out like this, not like this. So when he fell face forward, David ran up and grabbed a hold of the man's sword, pulled it out, and chopped off his head, which that killed the giant, not the stone. And so we see God using this, and when that giant stopped or paused or hesitated, he became a stationary target. It was perfect for what David wanted. When I told the story, I accidentally left out a part that actually I like, when Saul calls David into the tent. I left out the fact that he came in holding Goliath's head. That must have been quite a scene to bring a respect for this young man. It wasn't like the first time when Saul looked at him with like, "Well, who are you?" Goliath's a great warrior. What can you do? Now he's standing there with holding the head of Goliath. And Saul knew this is a young man that he had to bring right into the army and use him. I have no biblical proof for this, but I have a theory that the whole thing about Goliath coming out with his armor bearer, which I know that was actually done. But you see, Jonathan's victory before was him and his armor bearer. They had come out and faced the Philistines and won the day. It may be that the Philistines were saying, hey, we have a warrior and an armor bearer that we'll send out to face the entire army. I don't really know if that's what happened, but I often think about this was their way. If it was, think about their discouragement. They say, man, we were defeated by a warrior and an armor bearer. Well, we'll show them. Then what happens? A young man in his early 20s or late teens comes out and wins the day again. They just somehow can't win in this whole situation. Well, come back next week when we give you some more insights about the story. We'll see you next week.